And if you can't be a really good, solid Clark Kent, you can't be a really good, solid Superman. Hello and welcome back to WAKA Geek Talk Radio. I'm Nathan, and we're talking today about Superman and Lois, the first season, before I review the first 3 episodes of Season 2, and mainly talking about my overall reaction to Superman and Lois, why it was such a great first season, but most importantly, why Tyler Hoechlin, in my opinion, is the best Superman we have had since Christopher Reeve. And that's quite a statement. I know I'm not the only one that thinks that. Some may disagree, but I think most people tend to like him. I'm also dressed today in my Superman incognito Smallville attire. If you remember in the show Smallville, where they wouldn't allow him to be Superman, so he was often being put in like a red or blue jacket with a red or blue shirt to alternate, again and again. That was like his default outfit. So I'm doing that today because I don't have my Superman shirt with me, unfortunately. Besides, I wouldn't want you to know that I'm Superman. Okay, so let me just say, I am a huge fan of Christopher Reeve's Superman portrayal, as well as just a big Superman fan in general. I grew up watching the George Reeves show, as well as reading comics, and especially watching the movies. And I've seen about every version of Superman there is. I didn't think we'd get a good version like this anytime soon, or even again, at least not on television. I've been impressed. There are some concerns I will express for where the show could go, especially on the CW, but I want to first of all talk about, I love Tyler Hoechlin's portrayal of Superman. That's the best part of this show. The show's good, but he is really good. Now, I know that saying that he is being the best since Christopher Reeve, for me, which I think Tyler Hoechlin is, that's a big statement, but if you look back at what we've had, I don't think we've had any bad Superman actors. But we haven't had the show or the overall formula to let this kind of thing happen where someone gets to be Superman like this. Lois and Clark, fine show. Not my main way of interpreting Superman, but Dean Cain was good for what it was. I really did like Terry Hatcher as Lois Lane in that, though. I felt that Superman Returns was not a good film, even though, I felt sorry for Brandon Routh, but I felt like they put Brandon Routh in there to be kind of, the Christopher Reeve lookalike kind of thing, even though the rest of the movie felt completely different. So, I think he got shortchanged. I did like seeing him come back as the Kingdom Come Superman in that little Crisis crossover. That was a weird crossover, but at least he had a good appearance there. And then I do think that Henry Cavill, I think Henry Cavill could be a way good Superman too, but I don't think his materials really allowed him to do that, honestly. I feel like Henry Cavill's a good actor, and he could pull off a fantastic Superman, but the Zack Snyderverse interpretation on Superman, while it gets other things right, I don't think they really understand the heart and soul of Superman, and that's something I feel like not only does Tyler Hoechlin get, but that the show gets. Now, I don't think if Tyler Hoechlin had been cast in the Snyderverse Superman movie, I don't know if he still could have saved the Superman role. I just think it's a different interpretation of Superman that's not my favorite one. This show really relies not just on his acting, but it writes the character of Superman and Clark very well. Now, speaking of Clark, this is where I got to say, Tom Welling, I think, was great. And I think Tom Welling could have made a fantastic Superman. Again, not his fault. They didn't let him be Superman. The whole no flights, no tights thing that they said. And after a few years of that, it was kind of cool at first, but it got tiring. And the show went on and on. It went on at least 2 years longer than it needed to. And at the end, you begin to feel like, well, just let him be Superman already. It got ridiculous. They started giving him more and more powers and having him be his secret identity, but he still can't fly and he still can't wear the outfit. He does for like 2 seconds at the very end of the show. And I thought they should have let him be Superman for a couple of seasons, Whatever. They didn't. He doesn't even do it in this Crisis. When they brought him back for this Crisis thing, the Arrowverse Crisis, he's given up his powers. I'm like, well, come on. I really wanted to see him be Superman. That would have been cool. Oh, well. So, anyway, now we come to this show, which of course started because Tyler Hoechlin was Superman on Supergirl, and several guest times, and then the Arrowverse Crisis, two really good appearances by him. Now, I first saw Tyler Hoechlin, not on the screen, but at the Comic-Con in San Diego. And I thought he was fantastic on the Supergirl panel. And they were talking about, and I hadn't seen any footage of him as Superman yet, and I was just like, wow, his presence, everything about him seemed right. And everyone with me, my friends, felt the same way. Then he debuts in the two-part of the beginning of season 2, the first CW season for Supergirl, and he was fantastic. I thought he nailed it. I really did. Now, those are two of the best episodes of Supergirl. After that, season 2 of Supergirl went on a long, crazy range of drama and soap opera antics, and it ended on a very weak episode, in my opinion, with this stupid tournament and all this and the way it went down. However, they brought back Tyler Hoechlin for that, and although they kind of downplayed the Superman character he was before, now his acting still shone through. But what really made me realize he needed his own show was when they did that first 3-part Crisis thing, where, the one where they had, the Arrow and Flash get their identities switched. Because then Tyler Hoechlin goes into a world where there's an evil Superman who's him. He looks just like him, but is wearing all black. And the story there is not so handled well because basically Superman gets his butt kicked by this guy who's not even a superhero. It's John Deegan, pretending to be him, and somehow, with no real fighting experience, he kicks Superman's butt a couple times. I don't know. But still, regardless, his acting as both the good and the bad Superman was so good, I thought they need to give him his own show. Really. And I wrote a letter to the CW about that. I don't know if I was one of the letters that helped them, but they brought him on, and he is great. Now, here's the other thing, though. When I heard that this show was happening, I was excited, but I was nervous. And you know why I'm nervous. It's the CW! And you, everyone out there, even fans of these CW shows, you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Because CW is notorious for having great concepts and really good shows and then wrecking them. Supergirl is a good example of that, although Batwoman would be the primo example. They took so much potential with Batwoman, and by the first, they lost their lead actress before the second season even started. And when they went an interesting, different way, and I'm like, now we're just do the comics right out the window. And Superman, I was nervous because I wasn't sure about this premise. I mean, if you told me that I was going to go like a premise where instead of seeing Superman's usual stuff, it's 20 years later, he's now married with teenage kids living in Smallville? Are you kidding me? That's the interpretation you're going to go with? That was my reaction. Like, what? Now we've got a helicopter coming over. Maybe Lois Lane is hanging on to that, and Superman's about to rescue her. But I was wrong. In fact, it's interesting. It's something you've never seen before. There's no more of the playing games between is he Superman or is he Clark Kent or the same person, all that stuff. Now, Superman and Lois Lane have been married for a long time. They're stable as a couple. They've learned all the ins and outs and quirks. They're the toughest challenge they have is raising 2 kids. It says in the poster, about being a superhero, starting at home and all that. Like, yeah, he can save the world and fight crazy monsters, and yet dealing with a teenage son is not always so easy. And the teenage sons are both good. They're good actors. They fit the role. They're very different. They're believable in their roles. And let's talk about Lois Lane. Okay, Bitsy Tulloch, she is impressing me. I think she may be one of my favorite Lois Lanes. She's doing a really good job. She gets a lot of really great moments. And while I don't agree with every direction and story I think she says, I feel like she's really convincing as Lois Lane, and I'm glad that they brought them together. Also, the whole show gets started on a wonderful note, with its pilot episode having the whole retelling of the origin of Superman, telling him how he became Superman, how he married Lois Lane, all this stuff. It even uses his old Action Comics original outfit with the little S on a black background. Amazing. Also, one important thing is, for Superman, if you're going to be Superman, well, you have to be Clark Kent even better. See, the thing about Superman is, he has to be an alien from another planet, but has to embody the best human from Earth you could have. That's who Superman is. And as Clark Kent, At home, his interactions with the kids and family are fantastically realistic and amazing. But then as Clark in public, he's a little goofier and funny, and it's great. He nails it. And that's the reason why I like Tyler Hoechlin. He's not just a good Superman, he's an even better Clark Kent. And if you can't be a really good, solid Clark Kent, you can't be a really good, solid Superman. And I think that was the flaw of the Snyderverse, if you will, is they didn't give Superman much chances to really define himself as Clark Kent. Here, he does it in about as good of a way as he can. Through all the ups and downs of this show, you know, I'm not gonna. If you haven't seen it, they go to Smallville. They live in the house. Daily Planet's taken over. They're no longer reporters for that. And there's a new villain, a mysterious villain who's being called by his AI robot, Captain Luthor. But you don't know who he is. He's really strong. And it definitely he's from a different dimension, a different world. We just had a whole Crisis on Infinite Earths type thing happen on the Arrowverse before this show, which is something that is one of the weaknesses of this show. It kind of assumes that all happened and just went down the previous season and across the board with all the shows. I had to explain that to some people who hadn't seen it but just wanted to watch the Superman show, what had happened and how all these worlds had kind of condensed. And in this situation, you've got this guy who felt that Superman was a villain on his planet. Meanwhile, you've got you've got Lana with a teenage daughter that the kids are the Clark, the Kent boys are interested in, and you've got dynamics with the villain, the businessman villain of Morgan Edge, who seems to be up to something a lot more sinister than he wants to let on. And all this plays out in a pretty amazing way with a lot of surprises. And I'll get to spoilers in a little bit, the very end of this review here. But I want to say all of it worked out a lot better than I thought. Yeah, sometimes the high school drama stuff gets a little too drummy, and I know that it's the CW. It's gonna happen, unfortunately. I just hope they don't rely on that, like Supergirl ended up becoming. That's the thing. See, and this is what my only fear is about the show, is that they'll do kind of what happened with Supergirl and several other shows, is that the soap opera dramas take over the show, and Supergirl also suffered though from losing several of its good actors. And the replacements, more or less, weren't so great, in my opinion. I really do love Melissa Benoist. I thought she is and embodies Supergirl fantastically well. But the show just got so crazy drama by the last season, I just didn't care anymore. At least with this show, I'm hopeful, because this first season of Superman was far better than the first season of Supergirl. So we're starting from a higher place. So even if it goes down, it's starting from a better position, I hope. So I'm excited. And I'm going to do a CW rant on another video about this. But before I sign off, let's talk about a couple of spoilers. So you find out, spoilers, that two amazingly interesting things here. One, Morgan Edge is like a half illegitimate brother of Superman from Krypton, and he is got a very sinister, powerful plan that he was able to pull off on his other universe world. And that's what this Captain Luthor guy is trying to stop. But who's not Captain Luthor, as you also find out, and this was my favorite reveal of the entire show. He's John Henry Irons, the Man of Steel, back when the whole death and life of Superman thing happened. And he, went on to do all kinds of stuff since then. But I just about lost my mind when that happened. Pretty cool. How they use him moving forward, I am not 100% sure, because it ended with his daughter coming back from the other dimension, and I'm not sure how that's going to play out, because that just opens the can for drama, soap opera drama because she's Lois's daughter on the other world with John Henry Irons. Bringing her here, where it's the same person exactly, but it's not. I mean, as your mom, that's just weird, and I don't know. That's my only real worry going into the next season. Now, I'm going to sign off by saying this is a great show. I encourage you to watch it. it is also something I'm nervous about because it's the CW. And they're notorious for changing all kinds of things just for the heck of it in their shows to add drama and tension, and often a lot of those things are done, but they're not done well. And it's unfortunate because they have these great shows, all these great heroes, and I felt like all the tension and everything was done really, really well in this show in the first season. So I'm hoping writers, producers of this show, of Superman and Lois, I'm talking to you. Don't let us down on this. Keep this show grounded and a little bit heavier weighted and more serious, too, than what we got from, like, Supergirl seasons 4 through 6, because that got ridiculous. We need a show that feels the weight of Superman and what it's worth. And this first season, it did. So keep that tone, please. Please. Looking forward to season 2. A little nervous. Hopeful, though. At least we have Tyler Hoechlin and Bitsy Tulloch, and they're fantastic. All right. This is Nathan saying thank you for tuning in. If you like what you see or hear, or both, please subscribe. Check me out on social media. Look for new videos coming up all the time. More reviews and more discussions.